President-elect Joe Biden, I just got to say it again, President-elect Joe Biden has just 71 days for his transition team to prepare to take over. But the current administration is holding up the taxpayer-provided fund to make it happen because they're going all in on voter fraud claims. Let's take a look.
This election is not over. Far from it.
Let's not have any lectures, no lectures about how the president should immediately, cheerfully accept preliminary election results from the same characters who just spent 4 years refusing to accept the validity of the last election.
There are serious allegations of violations of law. The right standard is that every single legal vote that was cast should be counted, but any votes that were illegally cast shouldn't be counted.
Democrats could give a damn about this. They don't care how Trump lost as long as he lost.
So how do you know if something was illegally cast? And how do you know? I mean, where do you draw the line? I think you mentioned this, Sarah, yesterday. I mean, so does that mean that only the things below president and vice president are no good? I mean, because there's a whole lot of people on that list that people voted for. So are they okay? Or does that mean Mitch McConnell has to, we got to recount for Mitch McConnell and then recount for whoever else that was talking? I can't even put their names in my head. I mean, Lindsey Graham. I mean, so does that mean we need to recount all of that as well? Because that's not okay? Because
no, just half
you're saying this. Just half, but which half? Oh, just the top half, I see. Just get rid of the top half because he doesn't like it. That was very crazy. Anyway, Attorney General Bill Barr also broke from protocol by allowing investigators to pursue claims of fraud before votes are certified. So what does this mean? Because they keep counting. He's not close enough to make a real big difference. So what is the point of all of this? Are they just going to keep this going for how long, Sonny?
You know, I think the point of all of it is to sow discord and certainly sow some sort of well, to sow discord. And I also think, Whoopi, this is really dangerous because people now are questioning our very democracy and questioning the legitimacy of Joe Biden's, election and that as president. And I think that's terrible. What also is very disconcerting is that every serious empirical study shows that voter fraud is not a real thing. I mean, that is just not an accurate thing. It's just non-existent, virtually non-existent in the United States. What does exist in the United States, as we all know, is voter suppression. So the fact that you have someone like the Attorney General of the United States politicizing the Department of Justice is really, really troubling. And you have people like Richard Pilger, a career prosecutor who heads the elections crimes branch in the Justice Department's public integrity section, withdrawing and resigning from that section should raise a lot of alarms, a lot of red flags for the American people, because career prosecutors do not resign their positions. And I worked at the Justice Department. The Justice Department is apolitical. It is very rare for you to know the politics of the chief of a unit, of the line assistant. You just don't know that. And so when you see Attorney General Barr breaking tradition, a 40-year tradition of interfering with an election by the Justice Department and making sure that the Justice Department is now, I don't know, President Trump's personal law firm, the very foundation of our democracy and all our public systems is being attacked from the inside, Right.
So, Joy, when you see all of this and you hear them say, well, this, they've spent 4 years fighting. Didn't we spend 4 years fighting that particular election because people interfered with it and we knew that the Russians had interfered? But none of us said, now get out. No. Or am I wrong? Did you say? I didn't think so. Go ahead.
No. What I was thinking right now is that, forget about Trump. Let's look at the Republican Party for a second. We're looking at basically a bankrupt party that has no center, has no core. They don't have a philosophy anymore. Deficits, who cares, as long as it's Republicans creating it. The military, well, we can diss the military, even though we said, oh my God, the military. So they only care about two things: power and retaining power, and their pocketbook, taxes. That's basically the party right now. So they are fearful of mail-in voting. Lindsey Graham said the following: if we don't do something about voting by mail, we're going to lose the ability to elect a Republican in this country. The coronavirus has shown that mail-in voting on a grand scale works, but it seemed to work better for the Democrats, just like the Electoral College works better for the Republicans, even though we won the Electoral College also this time. But those are the things that scare them. So all they can do is what Sonny says: they can suppress the vote, and they can claim that it's all a big fraud. Out of the millions of votes cast, only 32 cases, I believe, of fraud were even identified. So it's just spitting in the wind. Now, one more thing. As far as Mitch McConnell is concerned, Georgia is on his mind. Georgia, because if we take Georgia, if the Democrats take the Senate in Georgia, he loses power. He is possessed to keep that power. He wants it. And I think that if they lose power in Georgia, if they win, rather, if they maintain the power, McConnell will drop this whole thing. Because that's all he cares about. He wants the base to be riled up against the Democrats and vote against a Democrat in Georgia. That's what he's all about. So Trump has become irrelevant to us. Concentrate on the Republican leadership now and Mitch McConnell.
Right. So, Sarah, so you think that Mitch McConnell is saying, and all those votes that were cast, some of those votes were cast illegally? I mean, how do you know who was voting? How do you know who was, I mean, you're basically saying that Republicans also didn't come out and vote clearly for their president. I mean, it's just insane when you look at it. Do you think that they are aware they're casting dispersions on their own party as well?
They're hoping that they've confused people enough that they don't make that distinction that we've made before, that while touting the wins in keeping Senate seats and the Congress flipping, or sorry, excuse me, the House flipping, that those votes were okay, but that the ones that they lost were not okay, which is on the same ballot. So I think this counting and recounting is well within their legal rights. And if they want to waste time and resources doing this, they're not going to find anything. So go ahead, do what you need to do. Because right now, Biden and Harris they've moved on. They're starting to attend to the business at hand, which is this pandemic. I'm not surprised these lead Republicans are not doing anything else, because even though Trump is no longer the president, he will remain powerful in that party. And for them to continue to be reelected, they need those over 70 million voters that voted this time for them. Now, the interesting thing is this is all going to be counted. All this legal action will be done on the state and local level. And Republicans in Georgia are saying, you know, this doesn't rise to the number necessary to change the outcome. They say it's hoaxes and nonsense. Like, you guys, like, until we see proof. These are Republicans on the ground in Georgia saying that. So I think that, and by the way, when Fox News starts cutting away from Kayleigh McEnany because they're saying, you know, we can't in good conscience air this, when Fox is the watchdog, I think the right powers are at play here. And so I think it's like a bad breakup when someone's taking the couch, they're burning your clothes. Like, let them do whatever they need to do on the way out. Just get out.
As long as they're
Don't trust Fox.
As long as they're going
Do
out.
not trust Fox.
Yeah. But the other thing that I think is amazing is that people, you know, the taxpayers' money that goes into this fund that helps begin the transition is being held up by the man sitting in office. I'd like to say, I'm sure we could talk to Bloomberg or any of the other folks that have a lot of money to loan us some money so we can start the process while they, you know, putz around and try to figure out what's going on, because it's not going to stop what's happening. It's just, you know, I don't understand what the point is, because you're only hurting yourselves. And he's going to be much more embarrassed when he finds out. In fact, he didn't win. 4 states have already said, you show us the proof. Show us the proof. That's all we want. Show us where it's real. And if it's not real, we're not going through with this. So let him futz around and do everything they need to do, you know, because they're not willing to suck it up, clearly.